A lot of people talk about what it takes to start a marketing agency, but there's a lot less people talking about what it takes to actually maintain a successful one. I'm going to share 4 lessons that I learned over the first couple of years running the marketing agency that I operate called PPC Farm. What a lot of marketing or agency gurus out there might tell you is that the hardest part of starting an agency or running an agency is getting clients, doing sales, things like that. But actually, the hardest part of running an agency is maintaining client relationships while also maintaining your own sanity. So that is what I'm going to talk about today, is kind of the background of what goes on if you are running an agency, whether that's solo or whether you have employees, and what I've learned to kind of help mitigate some of those things. Like I said, I'm only sharing 4 lessons today. There are definitely way more, but I think that these are going to have the biggest impact for you, whether you are thinking about starting an agency, you're currently in the trenches of running an agency, or if you are someone who's thinking about working with an agency. I think it's good to understand kind of what is going on in their minds as the service provider. Lesson number 1, this was probably the hardest one for me to learn, and you actually may need to say no to most people, and that's okay. You know, I think when you're first starting out and wow, you get that first client and you're like, oh my God, I'm doing this is real, right? You can feel like you don't want to let that go. You really cling on to, you know, taking basically whoever comes through the door. But the problem with that is that not everybody who comes to the door is going to be a great fit for you, whether that's because of your business model, because of their business model, personality clashes, you know, a lot of things can have an impact here. But if you're able to identify who your ideal client is, you know, really sit down and write out what you want in a client, what you don't want in a client, and then make your vetting or qualification process much more rigorous. We've had to basically say, hey, here's the cutoff. We only accept clients with this amount of ad spend, or businesses that are operating at, you know, this amount of revenue per month, because they tend to be higher quality clients. And it just helps us, like I said, to kind of filter people who might not be a good fit. And then, of course, further down in our conversion process, we do have additional kind of checkpoints to make sure that they're a good fit for us. For example, I was working with a client who only wanted to spend about $10 a day. That's maybe okay in some situations, depending on, you know, the product and then the category and the niche. But they also wanted to have daily updates. They were emailing me every single day, wanting to have meetings multiple times a week. And it was just super duper draining. And for the amount that they were paying us and for the amount that I think that their business could realistically grow, it just didn't math out, right? So that's kind of an example of how a lot of times the clients who are paying you the least are draining the most of your energy. And those really aren't the kind of clients that you want. Basically, the takeaway is you need to say no to some people so that you can say yes to the right people, because those bad clients are going to drain a lot of your energy and you'll end up not having enough left over for those clients that can actually grow with you as an agency. And speaking of energy, that brings me to my next lesson that I learned, which is to set boundaries and actually protect your energy. This is really important. I think that when a lot of people start working with an agency, they kind of think that, you know, you are at their beck and call. And that is true to an extent. I mean, we are providing a service, right? And part of that service is communication. And you need to build in good communication as part of your processes. We have weekly check-ins with our clients, where we send out a video update from your dedicated account manager about what's happening in your account, along with detailed reporting. And then, of course, I mean, we can email outside of that, but you need to set those communication expectations up front, because if you are like me at about a year ago, or if you're like a lot of other people starting an agency, then, you know, you're going to be answering emails at 10 p.m. You're going to be taking emergency meetings on the weekend, right? That's really just going to drain your energy so that you don't have the energy to actually spend where you have the most impact and add the most value. Because here's the thing, even if you are available like that, the kind of clients who are expecting that from you, they are not really going to respect you anymore for doing those things. And typically that kind of behavior doesn't actually move the needle in what matters, which is the profit, right? The profit from running their advertising, like the thing that you're actually doing, right? Those late night emails or, weekend calls and things like that, they don't necessarily even make a difference. It's just kind of this desperation, panicked sort of energy that unfortunately doesn't really help anything. And it definitely doesn't help you as the person running the agency to do your job well. Now, we have regular business hours. If there are legitimate emergencies, like someone's account got suspended or something like that, of course we can make exceptions, but having those boundaries is going to save your sanity. And it's also going to allow you to offer a better service to your clients. Lesson number 3, basically don't be afraid to ask for what you're worth. This is a little bit of a touchy subject. Getting pricing right, I think, is tough. You want to price yourself somewhere where you are, again, getting what you actually deserve, being compensated fairly for the work that you're doing, but also not, going overboard as you're charging someone $25,000 a month for your service. I mean, maybe some services are worth that. I don't know. Being careful about going too far on the low end because you're new or because you aren't confident for some reason, or you have other insecurities, right, that are kind of bleeding over into your business. And this can happen. I guess, when you are brand new and you just kind of need some testimonials and things like that, it could make sense to price yourself a little bit lower. But ultimately, if you are doing good work, then those results will speak for themselves and people will happily pay you for that because what they're paying for is delivering them better results in their business, right? Like, why wouldn't I want to pay someone thousands of dollars a month if I were making an additional tens of thousands or hundreds of $1,000s a month? That's pennies to me at that level, right? So you're probably going to need to do some testing and feel things out, but just be cautious of the trap that a lot of people fall into, which is pricing yourself too low. For example, when we first started out, we actually were pricing ourselves at around $500 a month. This is for full Amazon PPC management, keyword research, campaign maintenance, those weekly check-ins, right? You have a dedicated account manager and it's just full service, right? Not only that, but we deliver really consistent, really good results basically out of the gate. That was just like an absolute steal. I mean, a lot of agencies in this space doing exactly what we do are charging 10 times that, right? Which is honestly fair. And because of that, I would actually get responses from clients on calls saying, I don't know, you're too cheap. It kind of makes me nervous. When you pay for something or when you pay a premium price for something, then you expect a premium service, right? And when something is priced too low, it makes you feel skeptical, right? Like this is too good to be true. And in our case, that wasn't the case. It was more of an issue of I don't know, we're new in the space. The point is if you do good work and you get results, then people will happily pay for it, right? You're probably going to need to test out raising your prices. And I can almost guarantee you're going to find that it's not going to hurt you. You may lose some clients or you may not be able to sign as many clients. But when you do, those clients are going to pay you more and you'll have to do less work because you won't have as many clients, right? I mean, it's just the numbers game, right? So highly recommend getting your pricing right and being cautious of underpricing yourself as an agency owner. And lesson number 4 is know that clients are going to be skeptical in the first 30 days of working together. Now, it might not just be 30 days. That can vary from industry to industry. In my industry of running Amazon PPC, 30 days is kind of the amount of time it takes things to sort of get traction and momentum. And so in those first 4 weeks or so, things can be a little bit unpredictable or inconsistent. We're testing, we're getting data, right? I mean, it's normal. But know that also when that's happening, your client needs to build trust with you, right? They need to know, are you going to be able to deliver on what you said you would be able to deliver? And that's completely understandable. I mean, I am the exact same way, like prove it, right? And that's why we offer a free trial, because we know that especially in my industry, Amazon PPC, that we do have this kind of runway period, and that's normal and that's okay. And that's why we do the free trial, because we know the clients are going to be skeptical in those first 30 days. So that's something that you can do to mitigate that. The other thing that of course is really, really important, whether you have a free trial or not, is setting expectations super duper clearly from the start. What I mean by that is, if you know, like for example, in my industry, when we're doing discovery or doing that data collection, we might have fluctuations in sales or return on ad spend, things like that. Things just look a little bit messy when we're first getting going. And so we let our clients know that. We put it in writing. We discuss it in the audit call. We discuss it in the kickoff call that we have. We let them know multiple times, hey, things might be great, but things also might not be so great because we're taking some calculated risk right now. That's part of running PPC, and that's okay. And then that way, when that happens, if that happens, they expect it and you just look a lot more professional, right? So whatever the equivalent of that is for your industry, whether that's, with timelines, like if you're doing graphic design, or whatever that may be, setting those expectations is super important because the client will be skeptical of your performance in those first 30 days. But again, if you know that, you can mitigate it. For example, this happens all the time, but I had one client in particular that was like every 2 days, like, what's happening? Why did you choose this keyword? Why did you adjust this bid? Why does this campaign look like this? Like constantly questioning our decisions. And, at first I'm like, you know what, this is maybe just not working out. Like, I'm just going to drop them, but we stuck with it because I was really confident that, hey, well, they're going to see the light, right? What we're doing, I know it works. And you just need to give it a little bit of time. After a couple of months, things exploded and they ended up being an amazing client for us and really a big advocate for us, left us nice reviews, right? So sometimes, it's just, like I said, about managing those expectations from the outset, which is something I didn't do with that client, which is how I learned this lesson. All right, I hope that was helpful for you. Like I said, these 4 lessons are useful whether you're starting an agency, currently running an agency, or you want to work with an agency. And just to recap really quick, those 4 lessons were: know when to say no, protect your own energy, and make sure you're setting boundaries with clients. Number 3, value your expertise, price yourself at what you're worth. And number 4, make sure you're setting expectations for those first 30 days because clients will be skeptical. Look, I shared these lessons from my personal experience because running a service-based agency or any kind of business is really, really difficult. And so I hope that you learn from this and don't make the same mistakes that I did. And also, if you are interested in more of this kind of behind-the-scenes agency stuff, or if you're an Amazon seller, you're in the Amazon space, I do put out a weekly newsletter with lots of good tips for running an Amazon business, but also about agency life. And you can subscribe to that newsletter at the link in the description. And if you'd like to check out my latest video, that is here.